Let's start our focus by discussing what's happening in the FMCG space. The report suggests that FMCG makers, particularly soap manufacturers, have undertaken price hikes. Let's get in the management at Godrej Consumer Products. We have with us Mr. Adi Godrej, the chairman at the Godrej Group, joining us right now to take some few questions. Mr. Godrej, good morning, sir. Thank you so much for joining us.
Sure.
Can you talk about the quantum of price action that has happened as far as the soap categories are concerned, sir?
It varies with different brands, different SKUs, but it's around 3-4%.
What's been the driving factor, sir, behind the price hike? Is it predominantly to do with input cost pressures?
Yes, input costs have gone up. The vegetable oil prices, which is a major raw material for soap, have gone up over the last couple of months. Of course, earlier the rupee depreciation has affected because these products are mainly imported. So overall costs are going up. General fuel costs and other things are also leading to higher costs. And as a result, we had to raise prices.
Right. Sir, I believe palm oil derivatives are a key component for you in the soap category. What's been the hike in palm oil derivative prices over the last couple of months?
But that varies. It varies a lot. Every day the price keeps changing. But there have been increases. I would say the increase in the raw material cost has been around 10% over the last couple of months. But it varies between the individual products, etc.
So on a blended basis, can you categorize in the soap category what would be the quantum of price hike, or it's difficult to quantify?
No, it's very difficult because it varies also between different SKUs, different price, but there is an upward pressure.
Okay. Are you concerned about the possible fallout on demand, or do you think demand would not get impacted?
No, I think with a small price increase, demand is not likely to be affected, but generally because consumer sentiment is poor, I think demand generally is a little poor, but I hope that if we get a pro-growth government after the elections, this sentiment will change positively. So I am quite confident that post the elections, we will see a turnaround in consumer sentiment.
Actually, we are all hoping for that. We see a turnaround in the sentiment in the industry as the new government takes over. But moving forward, sir, what's your sense? Do you see perhaps the second half of this year being better than the first half, or better than FY14?
Yeah, I expect so. I think there will be a turnaround if the election results are positive, as I feel it's likely to be. So I think there will be a turnaround in sentiment, and I do hope the new government, whichever form it takes, will look to accelerating growth.
Right. Sir, a lot of people are believing that the consumption space, which was actually holding up till FY13, is now beginning to see some sluggishness up ahead. Do you see that trend continuing, or perhaps the sector may have plateaued out and we might actually start to see a revival of sorts as the new government comes into power and as some pro-growth reforms start to happen?
I expect as the new government comes in, especially if it is pro-growth, I think it will make a big difference and sentiment will revive. And if the new government follows good policies, I think the growth rate could dramatically change.
What would you want, sir, from the new government in terms of soaps that perhaps could help revive the sector to push up demand? We saw some soaps coming in the interim budget in the form of excise cuts, but that predominantly benefited auto and the capital goods space. Would you want any similar kind of soaps from the new government so that the industry gets a jump start ahead, the industry gets a significant push?
No, what I expect is a government that clearly announces that it is pro-growth. It improves the ease of doing business in the country and brings in a few of the pending legislation that could add tremendously to growth, most importantly being the goods and services tax. So a new government, if it brings it in, works with the new opposition, well, I think it can be brought in quickly, and that could have a tremendous improvement in the sentiment. The other thing that could help improve sentiment is create a climate where the various tax disputes with foreign investors, especially with foreign investments, are settled across the board in a friendly manner, so that could attract much more foreign investment and could change the entire investment climate for India.
Sir, you have a sizable overseas portfolio as well. Is the pricing action applicable to that as well, or only to the India business?
No. Each country has its own pricing work. We don't have much of a soap business in our international businesses, so this is mainly in the soap business.
But how's the overall business when it comes to the overseas subsidiaries? US has turned around quite significantly. Europe seems to be on a revival path. Even some of the other Asian markets have seen some traction going forward. Do we see better prospects for the overseas business as well?
Well, our international business is mainly in the developing countries, and the developing countries have seen some pressure of late because of most developing countries have seen some pressure in their currencies, and the growth has slowed down in some of the developing countries. By and large, we are doing quite well, but clearly growth in our businesses outside India has also slowed down, just as the Indian growth has slowed down.
All right.
So last quarter, our growth in sales, consolidated growth, was around 17%.
Okay. All right, Mr. Godrej. Thank you so much, sir, for joining us.
Good talking to you.
Pleasure joining you. Great to get that perspective from you. That was Mr. Godrej, Chairman at the Godrej Group, talking about the price action that has happened as far as the soap segment is concerned. Let's take a break. We'll be back with more.